Hey everybody, Joe Joseph here for thedailysheeple.com, and this is your news shot. So Politico has an article, Google and Facebook may have to reveal their deepest secrets. Now, isn't this enticing? Because I would love nothing more than to get a glimpse into the algorithms that help the companies make their fortunes and maybe get some justice, especially those in the independent media that have been just completely, for lack of a better term, neutered by these social media sites. You know, these social media sites were once a great tool to be able to not only network with people, and I mean, to an extent, they still are, but it was also a great way to, you know, get these stories out to people, get all of the issues out on the table, and in a fashion that at one point in time, you know, like if it was Facebook, if you had 5,000 Facebook friends, well, your post went to 5,000 Facebook friends. And now, of course, that doesn't happen. Now it's only a fraction, like 1% of your actual friends list does your post actually reach, unless you're willing to pay a price. And even then, they probably send it to people that are totally disinterested in the story, just so, you know, it doesn't kind of bite in. But I guess investigators now investigating the Russia probe, you know, this Russian probe, are threatening to pry the lid off of tech companies' algorithms and the inner workings of their online platforms. Politico says as the probe unfolds into social media's role in spreading misinformation, U.S. lawmakers are beginning to show an interest in the mechanics of everything from how Facebook weighs news items to how Google ranks search results. The questions, which echo European regulators' interventionist approach to technology, are a stark change from Silicon Valley's companies accustomed to deference from U.S. officials on how they run their operations. And why is that? Because over in Europe, there's pretty stiff election rules, and there's pretty stiff rules regarding lobbying, whereas over here, it's basically carte blanche. A company can lobby a non-representing representative, throw a bunch of money to their campaign, and then, you know, that representative is now subservient to the company or the person that put them there in the first place. And of course, they're not going to pry into the or bite the hand that feeds them. And that's exactly what we've fallen prey to over the past, 150 years or so. You know, when the robber barons were broken up, the monopolies of the early 20th century, they didn't just go away. You know, they were broken up, but actually, it's said that Rockefeller actually got stronger when Standard Oil was broken up. And we had a lull period where some protections were put into place so that a lot of this stuff wouldn't happen again. And then you had your Bill Clinton come around, start free trade agreements. Then you had George Bush come around, repeal Glass-Steagall, and these companies ran amok. And then in 2010, that's when all stops were removed. And that was when the Supreme Court ruled in the Citizens United decision that companies or corporations are people and people are corporations. Therefore, you can't limit a company's or corporation's political contributions, because if you do, you're limiting their free speech. It's a violation. And that, my friends, was the straw that broke the camel's back and really cemented special interests' place in lobbying our non-representing representatives. Now, Representative Adam Schiff of California, by the way, this is great, but I got to tell you, it's going to be a show. There's going to be a lot of pomp and circumstance, I'm sure, but it will amount to nothing. You know, we can take a look at congressional investigations. I can go as far back as the McCormick-Dickstein Committee, you know, that investigated the money trust, that investigated the attempted coup on President Franklin Roosevelt. And what became of it? What became of the people that attempted a coup on our president at that time? Nothing. Everything got swept under the rug. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. Oh, there'll be pomp and circumstance. You'll have people like Representative Adam Schiff of California, the top Democrat of the House Intelligence Committee, who warned on September 24th about the use of Facebook's algorithms and the way it tends to potentially reinforce people's informational bias. He added, this is a far broader issue than Russia, but one that we really need to know about. That's what he says. And they'll throw us crumbs, don't get me wrong. But don't expect any justice to be served or had, especially on our parts. That's not going to happen. You see, folks, the only way to get around this blockage, if you will, the only way to get around the censorship is to not participate on these platforms. But see, they paint you into a corner because everybody's operation is very heavily reliant on these social media platforms. And so it's very difficult to break free of that when these social media giants, every time a competitor comes around, they snack them, buy out the owners or whatever, and then they make the problem go away. Saw this with eBay years ago. Started PayPal, same thing years ago. Any sort of competition that got remotely close, they bought them up and they made the problem go away. That's exactly what you're going to see here too. There really is very limited solutions right now from a social media perspective. So it's really up to us. We have to make the decision on whether we're going to participate or not. And that's a very hard decision because of the potential and the need for independent media, because there is no accountability by the mainstream media or by these social media giants. And until we get through this, and we will, mark my word, we will, but this is not the path that we want to go. The path should not be through Congress. The path needs to be through the courts. And it's a very, very clear case of discrimination. We see it in labor law all the time. I'll give you an example. In factories, a lot of factories run attendance off a point system. And once you hit a certain number of points, you're let go because you have attendance issues. And that's totally understandable. But there are companies out there that may not be consistent in the way they apply their rules. And in those cases, when they do that, all a lawyer has to do is say, show me your records, break out your books. And if they find just one person that didn't get fired at that point threshold, that went far beyond it or even 1 point above it, it's a clear-cut case of discrimination. Why did you afford that person the opportunity when this person was confronting maybe issues of their own? How come this person wasn't afforded that opportunity? Everybody, it has to be a level playing field. Well, over here, this is the same thing. It's a clear-cut case of discrimination. Because here you have independent media platforms that are reporting on the same stories that are going on that the mainstream media is reporting on. However, the mainstream media gets the platform. They get the reach, whereas we don't. And it doesn't matter if it's a private corporation. It doesn't matter if it's a public entity. Discrimination is discrimination. And I believe that anybody out there with legitimate resources can actually challenge us and win. And if we can do that, then think about the instant change that would instantly change the whole dynamic of this fight, of this battle to inform and educate people. You know, I got to tell you, people are a lot smarter than we often give credit for. And if you give a person choices, information, they typically will make the best decision for themselves or their families, you know, but they don't want you to do that. See, you need the information that they want you to have, that the government wants you to have, that special interests want you to have, so that you can make the decisions that they want you to make. And my friends, we just can't put up with that anymore. It's time that we don't participate, that we don't consent, and that we start to stand up and fight this thing. And I'm telling you, if we fight it, we have a great chance of winning. I'm Joe Joseph. This was thedailysheeple.com's News Shot. Feel free to comment below and visit our website at thedailysheeple.com. Have a great day, everybody.